Let me ask you this. If a recruiter landed on your resume or LinkedIn profile right now, would they instantly know what role you're targeting and why you're the perfect fit? Most people think their profile is clear, but if it makes a recruiter guess, they'll just move on. And in 2025, clarity is the difference between getting ghosted and getting interviews. And in this video, I'm breaking down the top 3 things that make or break your resume and LinkedIn profile. And to show you how powerful this is, one of my clients applied just one of these updates, and within a week, 8 different recruiters reached out to him with opportunities. So if you want results like that without having to spend hours stressing over what's important and what's not, then this is for you. And if you stick around till the end, I'll let you know which of these tweaks led to the incredible influx of opportunities my client got. Okay, now first up, the job title. Now this is hands down the most important thing recruiters scan for first. If they're hiring for a product manager and your profile says something like digital consultant, you might lose them. Yes, I know it seems nuts and you'd expect people to connect the dots, but they don't. And I know what you're thinking, but what if my company doesn't label things that way? So what? Just change the title on your resume to match what the prospective employer is looking for. It's the oldest trick in the book. It means that the recruiter or hiring manager doesn't have to think. Now, just to be clear, I'm not telling you to lie or falsify any experience. But if you're like one of the many people who say to me, yeah, well, I'm basically doing the job of whatever the job title might be, go ahead and make that change. The goal is to get yourself in the room. If you're confident enough to explain how you can do the job and how your responsibilities match, don't let your formal job titles dictate what goes on your resume. It's totally fine to use the more commonly used titles within your industry, assuming you have performed a role that is on a level. So yeah, be specific, and even better, if you can show there's been a clear line of progression, that's even better. So for example, in my old line of work, recruiting clinical professionals, if I was tasked to recruit a VP of clinical operations and I could demonstrate that someone had moved through the ranks from AD to director, then from director to senior director and VP of clinical operations, that was gold standard. Now, in reality, when I worked with candidates, their job titles weren't always as clear cut as that. Their employers would give all kinds of weird and wonderful titles, but when it got down to it, the responsibilities were the same as the most commonly titled roles throughout the industry. So yeah, on this one, please take a look at what the job description says. And if the responsibilities match what you've been doing, but they title the roles slightly differently, do yourself a favor and make sure things match. Recruiters don't have time to interpret what you might mean. Put it right in front of them and you'll immediately stand out. Okay, now for the next part that matters. And this one's huge and often overlooked. Your industry experience. Every hiring manager believes their industry is different, and honestly, they're usually right. Working in fintech is not the same as working in healthcare. Pharma is not the same as e-commerce. So if you spent 5 years in the same industry as the one you're applying to, make that super obvious. Mention it in your summary, list it clearly in your experience. You want the reader to think, this person gets our world. Because one of the most common lines I used to hear from hiring managers was this: Lucy, unless they've worked in the industry, people don't know what they don't know. And let's face it, what would you do in this situation? You've got 2 candidates that you like. You can't split them. They're both marketing managers, for example. They both have 10 years experience. They both have master's degrees. They both have incredible track records of success. But you're the chief marketing officer for an online gaming company, and one of them has 5 years of experience working in the entertainment and gaming sector. Meanwhile, the other has spent their entire career working in healthcare. Who are you picking? Now, I know what I'd be doing. I'd be going for the person who's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt in the gaming industry. Because why not? Wouldn't you? Just ask yourself that. Now, that doesn't mean that person is any better, but it's about playing the odds. It's about reducing risk, because what if the healthcare person decides they don't like the gaming sector after a few months? What if they turn around and say, oh, it's a bit different to how we did things in healthcare. I think I might go back to that. Now look, everyone always says, well, I wouldn't do that. But having worked in recruitment for 10 years and having coached thousands of individuals making career transitions, I can tell you now that every business owner and hiring manager has experienced that at some point. And the reason? Well, it's that people don't know what they don't know. Now, as a bonus tip here, let's say there was still no way to split the candidates I mentioned a second ago, and they both had 5 years of experience in the gaming industry. Employers would then look at who had worked with firms just like them. So if they were a small marketing agency of 10 to 20 staff and one applicant had always worked with smaller, more entrepreneurial startups, while the other had worked for big established marketing agencies, there's a good chance they'd hire the individual with more experience working for smaller firms. Why? Because they're more likely to understand the dynamic at smaller firms. And I know this isn't how things should work, but this is the way things do work. In a sense, the best way to ensure you're the number one candidate for the job is to have done the exact job for a direct competitor. Yep, that's the harsh reality. But let's say you've nailed both of those. You've got a clear job title and you've demonstrated clear progression if possible. Your industry experience is front and center. Now here's where you bring it all together, because the truth is most recruiters won't even read your full resume unless your summary instantly shows them you're relevant. I like to think of the professional summary as your cheat code. It should give the recruiter or hiring manager everything they need to know in just a few lines. And honestly, if you get this right, your summary alone should make the employer think, yep, let's get this person in for interview. Now, I mean this in the kindest way possible. If your summary looks like this: motivated, hard-working individual with a proven track record of success, strong team player, excellent communication skills, delete it. And go watch my video detailing how to tailor your resume in less than 2 minutes. Your summary needs to do one thing: make it clear why you're worth interviewing, not in 5 paragraphs, in 5 seconds. Think of it like this: if your job title is the hook and your industry experience is the proof, then your summary is the pitch. It should cover 4 key things: what you do, how much experience you have, what industry you've worked in, and 1 or 2 high impact results or skills that you can bring to the table. And that's it. And here's the best part: you can use that exact same summary with some small tweaks on your LinkedIn profile too. Number 3, formatting. Now, before we come on to that, I'll lastly note how much general formatting can make a difference. Yes, I'm talking about what your resume looks like, because just like in real life, where people will judge a book by its cover, or perhaps a YouTube video by its thumbnail, the same happens with resumes. Look, all of this amazing content you're putting on your resume only works if people can actually read it. So while I won't harp on about the ATS, because if you've been following me for long enough, you won't ever be applying via the ATS, please just do yourself a favor. Keep your format clean and simple. Use a professional font like Arial or Calibri, size 10 or 11. Clear section headings and plenty of white space. No graphics, no columns, no clutter. The goal is to make it effortless for a recruiter to scan and say, yep, let's get them in. Of course, if you're new here and thinking, what do you mean won't be applying via the ATS? Then you should 100% go take a look at this video where I go into detail about how to bypass the whole system. All right, now back to this video. And do you remember at the start where I promised you that I'd tell you which of these changes helped my client land interviews and attract recruiters? Well, it came down to his job title. We literally changed nothing else. He was working formerly as a clinical research coordinator, but when we looked at his responsibilities, they went way beyond that. He was managing cross-functional teams, overseeing budgets, handling timelines, the full works. In reality, he was operating at a level of a clinical project manager. And here's the thing, in the clinical research industry, clinical project managers with oncology experience are in huge demand. So he updated his job title on his resume to reflect that. And guess what? He landed an interview for the very next job he applied to. But it didn't stop there. I told him, look, this is working on paper. Now let's apply it to LinkedIn. We changed his title on his profile to Clinical Project Manager Oncology. And within a week, 8 different recruiters reached out to him with roles. No new applications, 0 outreach, crazy, right? But it was all about supply and demand. And while I've got all the respect in the world for CRCs, you can find them in abundance on LinkedIn. Meanwhile, clinical project managers with oncology experience are like gold dust. So just to recap, if you want your resume and your LinkedIn profile to actually work for you, use a job title that matches the role you're targeting. Make your industry experience crystal clear and write a summary that actually sells you. And format the whole thing so it's clean and easy to read. Now, if this video helped, give it a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments which one of these you're going to update first. Job title, industry focus, or your summary. All the best, and I'll see you in the next video.